Hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Faith and Beyond, and welcome back if you are on YouTube to another video on my channel. It has been a minute, but I've been busy with wedding planning and just really enjoying peace and trying to get things together in the house. So I was like, yes, enjoying peace, but also there's a lot of other stuff that I have been focused on, and I think that's okay. But I am back, and I did want to come back with something fun, something that we can all benefit from, and that is book club. So the book that I would love for you guys to join in to read with me is called The Wallflower That Bloomed by Cally Logan. And in this episode, we're just gonna go over chapter 1. And for those of you that don't know, Cally Logan was actually a guest on the Faith and Beyond podcast before. So if you haven't checked out any of the videos with her, definitely go give them a watch. So great. She's so sweet and she's so faithful, and you definitely can tell throughout the interview with her, and she's so wise as well. So shout out to Cally. And also, if you haven't read her previous book, Dear Future Husband, it was very good, and it's definitely a book I plan to pass on to my future daughter if I am so blessed to have one. And then even reading this first chapter, I just love Cally's style and how she writes. So definitely go give that book a purchase and join the book club and join in the chat and in the comment section, and let's talk about it. Okay? So just getting into it already, pretty much another reason why I did want to read this book and did want to do kind of book club style with this book is because it's something that has really resonated with me growing up and everything like that. Growing up, even still to this day as a 27-year-old, I get told often that I'm quiet, that I'm to myself, that I'm introverted, that I'm shy, and there's definitely a difference between being shy, quiet, and being introverted, but a lot of people also don't know that, so sometimes I get called that. And growing up, that used to bother me a lot. It used to make me feel odd and out of place, and it made me feel like I couldn't really connect with people. But as we go into this episode a little bit more, you will see how I was able to overcome it, and how Cally in the book offers some ways to overcome those things and ways to see a different perspective with those things as well. Going back to as I was growing up and how I was dealing with it, I up until maybe the last 3 years, I would often ask the Lord, why am I like this? Why can't I just be loud and extroverted and just full of life? And it was just something why is it so hard for me to be insert extroverted person here? Why can't I be like that? Why does this feel so draining to me to do those things? And it wasn't until I rededicated my life to the Lord, it wasn't until I truly learned that I was created in a particular way, for a particular purpose, for a particular reason, that I was able to accept it and love it and see the value and the strengths in it. And so it wasn't until all those things where I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, Lord. I see why you have made me different. So if you are someone that's struggling with that, you're struggling with being more of the introverted, quiet person, maybe in your family or in your friend group or just in life in general, know that there are strengths to it, and that can probably be another episode. Let me know if you guys want that, but that could just know that there is a strength to it, and know that you were made that way for a reason, and the Lord delights in that reason. Okay, trust me. So far, another reason why I chose this book is to remind myself that it's okay to be who I am, how the Lord made me. There's a purpose and a reason behind it. And if you are someone that also wants a reminder, join the book club with me. I post on Substack first. But if you're not into, reading Substacks and things like that, and you prefer to watch the video or you prefer to listen on podcasts, share your thoughts with me in the comments. Share your thoughts with me on Instagram DMs. Share your thoughts with me on the Faith and Beyond Instagram, because I will for sure be posting those things and clips from this on there. So definitely join in the conversation and get Cally's book. And I also want to add, for example, for me, yes, I was quiet. Yes, I was shy at one point. I was 100% shy at one point. Now, no, I'm not. But there was a point where I was shy, like so shy to the point where I would struggle with talking to the cashier, like at the store. And I would have to force myself to get over it to actually talk to them like a normal human being, because they are normal human beings. And I had to learn that everyone on the exterior, they do not care about you like you think they care about you. Like, they do not care about the little things or you tripping in the middle of like, they might laugh, but they don't care. And so you just kind of have to like retrain your brain, and it's okay to work on those things. It's okay to understand, like, okay, that might be a weakness. But if there's something about you that you feel is a weakness, take it to the Lord. Ask Him to strengthen you, because in our weaknesses, He is our strength. So yes, love ourselves as the Lord has made us, but if there's something you want to improve, there's a characteristic about you that you want to strengthen, definitely take it to the Lord. Like, if it's speaking, if it's communicating with people, take it to the Lord, ask Him to strengthen you, and don't be surprised when He does strengthen you in those areas. Do not run away from it. Do not be fearful, because you remember, you asked Him to do it. So be prepared to actually do it. And just lean on the Lord. Like, I know it's easier said than done, but when you're feeling fearful, just lean on the Lord. Know that He is your strength. Breathe through it. Practice in the mirror multiple times. You'll be fine. And it'll be okay. Okay, so one of the first topics in this first chapter was about being different. Being different. One of the first questions for the reflection questions is, what are aspects of your personality where you would consider yourself different? That made me think there are many aspects that make me feel like I'm very different from a majority of people. Like, for example, in group settings, I'm totally okay with not saying anything. I am totally okay with just observing the room, seeing what's going on, seeing how people operate for a while. I'm just chilling, observing, seeing what's going on, you know? I'm totally okay with that. Others, they might feel like they have to say something, or they have to speak, or they have to be engaged with what's going on. And because I'm okay with just observing, sometimes it may make people uncomfortable. And we're gonna get into masking soon. So we're gonna get into that topic soon. But being okay and learning that I just like to observe before I engage and before I show my personality, whatever the case is. I had to learn that it's okay to do that. It's okay to be different. It's okay not to be like everyone else. And through like learning and observing in that way, I learned that I'm better suited for small settings. I'm better suited for one-on-one conversations. I would much rather do that and get to know someone on a personal level than be the one in a large group that's kind of commanding the room. I would rather just not do that. I don't care. But like one-on-one, like getting to know people, I enjoy that. That's fun to me. That is where I personally like to be. So I'm aware of like things that make me different, but if you aren't aware of what makes you different, I definitely suggest writing those things down, making yourself aware of them, and not feeling bad about them. Embrace them. Learn to love them. Once you learn how to love them, and once you learn maybe some of the reasons the Lord made you that way, and even if you don't know the why behind them, just learning to love that the Lord made you that way anyway will put you 10 steps ahead of someone that doesn't. And it will allow you to not care if anyone says anything about it. If anyone ever points out those characteristics in a negative way, or they're like, they don't understand, you can just water off the duck's back. You're just like, that's how the Lord made me. That's who I am. And I'm embracing it. And I love it. And you'll get more respect that way if you're just like, yeah, that's just me, over trying to be someone that you're not. Okay, another topic that Cally mentioned in this chapter was authenticity. And this is where the topic of masking comes in. I've heard the term before, but it's something I had to check for myself again. Before getting into that, the scripture that she chose to put in the section was Colossians 2:10, and it says, "In him you have been made complete, and he is the head over all rule and authority." And I love that she put that in there, because it's like, because he made you complete and because he made you who you are, you do not need to pretend to be someone you're not. You do not need to be a chameleon and fit in to whatever room you're in order to make other people comfortable. You just need to be you and embrace being you. As long as you're glorifying the Lord in that way, you don't need to fit into a box to be accepted by people. The right people will accept you, and those that don't accept you, that's fine. Not everyone's gonna like you. That's totally fine. And your life will be more peaceful once you learn that sentiment. So going back to masking is essentially what I just said. Pretty much, you operate in different groups, and as you are in your different groups, you kind of present a different way of yourself, or a different personality of yourself. So you might have a group where you're totally open about your political beliefs. You might have a group where you don't talk about that stuff, but you talk about other stuff, and you're like, maybe you're more fun in that group. Or you have another group, you're more serious in that group. And you have another group, you're probably more intelligent in that group. You just have different groups, and you act in different ways. And if there's any part of you that may make each of those groups uncomfortable, you just don't talk about it, or you just leave it alone. But the problem with that is, so what happens if all of those people in all of those different groups come together, and how are you going to act? How are you going to talk? How are you going to move? Like, what are you gonna do? The answer should just be, you're just gonna be yourself. And some of those groups might be like, oh, I didn't know you had this side of you. And that's okay. Other groups might be like, I don't know if I like that. And that's okay. The goal should be, in my opinion, I think the goal should be less about making other people comfortable and more about making yourself comfortable. Making sure that you have peace with yourself. Making sure you have peace in knowing that the Lord made you who you are supposed to be for a reason. Something Cally mentions in this section about like authenticity and masking is pretty much have the courage to be yourself. Have the courage to be who you are despite what environment that you are in. And like I said in the previous section, when you do that, you will have more respect from people, because they'll be like, oh, she's doing her. That is her. And those that don't respect it, they can leave. And those that respect it, they're cool. And as I was thinking about like authenticity and things like that, something that came to mind was, when you are more authentic to yourself, you're able to be more authentic to others. And as you are more authentic to others, it's easier to weed out those that aren't authentic to you, and weed out those that ultimately just don't like you, don't rock with you, and don't have a genuine relationship, or want a genuine relationship with you. Ultimately leading to more peace and joy and love in your life. Alright, so this next section is about people pleasing, okay? And she talks about the garden party. She talks about pretty much this singer that was a prime in his teens, but then when he got on stage to start singing some of his new stuff, people didn't like it. And instead of crawling in a shell and moping around about it, he stood on his 2 feet and he created a new song talking about it's better to do what makes him happy rather than try to make other people happy. I want to take that a step farther in this way. Do what makes the Lord happy. As you do what makes the Lord happy, it will make you happy. And those two things should be priority above making others happy. Because if you try to put making others happy before making the Lord happy, before making you happy, you're not going to be happy. You are not going to be joyful. You are going to be miserable, most likely, because you won't be doing what fulfills you. And if putting those priorities in place is hard for you, then I would take to the Lord to pray for boldness and firmness. And that doesn't mean that you gotta be aggressive and you have to like be snappy and like have attitude and everything like that. That just means you are being firm on your boundaries. You're being firm on what you know about the Lord, and you're being firm about the peace that you want to have in your life. And when you are able to do that, it's so much easier to tell people no. It's so much easier to be yourself. It's just so much easier to be yourself because nothing is swaying you. You are rooted in the Lord. You are rooted in what you know that you need to be prosperous. And when you're good at that, that's when you can be assertive. And I am personally working on being like a more assertive person. And since I've done that, I've been great. Like, I have been great. It's definitely practice, but choose being assertive over being a passive aggressive. Because if you're passive aggressive, you're just gonna fall into the cycle of people pleasing again. But if you're aggressive, then you might have strained relationships because people are like, whoa, that was unnecessary. But just learn to be assertive and you will go a long way. That can also be another topic for another day, so let me know if you guys want me to dive into that a little bit more. Alright, so that was the first chapter. There's a lot of good things in there, a lot of good details. I want to know what you guys had to say about being different, about authenticity, and about people pleasing. And definitely go get this book a purchase and join in the book club and join in the conversation. If you're watching, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with a few friends. And if you're listening on podcasts, make sure you give us a 5-star rating so that it can continue to spread to those who need it. All right, guys, until next time, bye.